Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj ki, Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. Very good morning. So this morning I would like to share with you a few beautiful verses from this beautiful book which is called Bhaja Givindam, written by Adi Shankaracharya. And truly Adi Shankaracharya is one of the yogis that inspire me the most. You can see the picture in between Swami Sivananda and Swami Vishnu Devananda. And Adi Shankaracharya is considered to be a reincarnation of Lord Shiva himself. And, I was studying these beautiful tiny scriptures, it's actually just 12 verses in my TTC. So I did my TTC here in 2006. And in the satsangs, in the evening satsang, we had this sweetest Indian Swami. His name was Swami Shantananda. Maybe some of you remember him. And he was so sweet. And every time he would come and start with so many jokes and stories, and then move to this beautiful, beautiful scripture. So I would like to share with you just a little bit because it inspires me a lot throughout all these years. And maybe I'll start by saying that Swami Sivananda, in his book Lives of Saints, when he describes Adi Shankaracharya, he writes that when Adi Shankaracharya came in the 8th century, India was in a very sad state where many of the practices and the practices were very corrupted. So there was no purity in the knowledge and in the way to practice. So Adi Shankaracharya was the one to purify the whole India by this Digvijaya, this big conquest. And, in India it's done by the way of debate. So you debate, and when you win the debate, the other one becomes your disciple. So like this, he won, and he established these 10 orders of swamis, of monks. And this ashram belongs to one of those orders, which is called Saraswati. So each one of the swamis in this organization has at the end the name Saraswati. So it's really one of the orders that Adi Shankaracharya established. And Swami Shivananda describes how in other ages, now we live in Kali Yuga, which is the dark age, the age of darkness, because we see spirituality is very hidden, but the material world is very obvious and very seen. So it's very easy to get confused and think that the only thing that is just the material world. But in other ages, it was a bit different. So Swamiji explains how in other ages, the forces of darkness many times took outside forms of demons. And so to establish righteousness, the divine had to incarnate in royal families as a warrior to fight all those demons. So he gives the example of Lord Rama in Treta Yuga and Lord Krishna in Dwapara Yuga. And so the divine there had to kill many demons, and we read about it in Ramayana and in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Mahabharata. We see how the divine is fighting those outside demons. But Swamiji explained that in Kali Yuga, those demons are inside of us. So we cannot have the divine come and kill, but the divine has to come and impart knowledge so we can purify. So, this reincarnation came really to purify and impart right true knowledge. And so it's so inspiring. And actually, I'm now reading the biography of Adi Shankaracharya. And it's beautiful to see the devas. So the devas come to Lord Shiva and they say that, it's a very sad state in the world where the Vedas are forgotten. The Vedas contain the Upanishads and the highest teachings of wisdom, which can allow human beings to realize their own nature, their own self. And the devas, they complain that there is no more true study of the Vedas and no true worship anymore. And Lord Shiva agrees to come. And so he's being born to this very divine couple, very pure couple, and they are very holy, and they worship Lord Shiva, and he agrees to come. And so it's truly a beautiful story how he comes, and his very short life, just 32 years, but in these 32 years, so much wisdom and so much upliftment to the whole humanity. And I find it very beautiful because Adi Shankaracharya writes so many scriptures where he shares the most profound wisdom and knowledge, and when you read his commentaries, you are at awe, such a brilliant intellect. How could he see so deep into these verses? And he has this very profound way when he writes commentaries in most of his scriptures. He brings an opponent. And so, when you want to study something deeply and you want to take it truly into your own inner world, you need to question anything you receive. You need to question, is this right? Is this correct? Am I truly agreeing with this one? But he really does the job for us. So when he writes his commentary, in many of these commentaries, he brings forth this opponent, which allows us to kind of question those questions. Wait a moment, do I really agree? Do I really perceive this? And so he writes also the answer to this opponent. So like this, it becomes much easier. And so you see this very sharp and brilliant intellect in so many of the scriptures he wrote, but at the same time, there are so many poems that Adi Shankaracharya wrote. So you see his infinite devotion to the divine. I discovered not so many years ago one of his, I was just listening to some YouTube actually, and you know how YouTube offers to you another YouTube and another YouTube, and suddenly the YouTube just offered me another YouTube, and I listened to it, and it was so amazingly beautiful. And so I put it on loop again and again and again and again, and I kind of become addicted to it. And I was wondering, why do I like it so much? What are the words? I must understand. It was in Hindi, so I didn't know Sanskrit. I didn't know what it is. So I decided I must investigate what is that beautiful chant. And it came to be Kaila Bhairavam Ashtakam by Adi Shankaracharya. So he wrote many ashtakas, which are praises of the divine in 8 verses. So I think there is ashtakam of Adi Shankaracharya to every single divine aspect. This was the first one I discovered, but then I saw that there are so many, like Guru Ashtakam. He writes 8 verses in praise of the teacher, and so every divine aspect got his special attention, and you see how much sweetness and how much devotion there are in these poems of 8 verses. And so to see this great scholar with this brilliant, sharp intellect, but filled with so much devotion, this is the true yogi, the culmination of knowledge and wisdom and devotion. And I would like to share just a few verses from this beautiful scripture, which inspires me a lot, and it's called Bhaja Givindam. And so the first verse is the one that repeats itself again and again and again after each verse in the scripture. And actually, it's 12 verses, and then there are more verses that his disciples added. So let's see how many we can share. So the first one is Bhaja Givindam, Bhaja Givindam, Bhaja Givindam Mudhamate, Samprapte Sanihite Kale, Nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. So it is said that many times those poems would just spring out of his mind in different occasions when he would see people, when he would be in different life situation. So this one he saw an old scholar, an old yogi sitting and learning these rules of Sanskrit. And so he could see, those rules of Sanskrit won't benefit him much. He's old and he should put his whole heart and mind into practice, into uh, coming closer to the truth. So it's truly a reminder to each one of us not to waste our time, to remember that death is near and can come at any moment, and to really put our energy and our time in the most efficient things. So he says Bhaja Govindam, and I remember Swami Shantananda Ji, this sweet, sweet Swami. He explained that Bhaja can mean a few things. First, it can mean worship. So worship Govinda, or it can mean seek Govinda. Uh, and also he was talking about the word Govinda. Govinda is one of the names of Lord Krishna. So it can mean worship the Lord or seek the Lord. But Govinda was also the teacher of Adi Shankaracharya, Govinda Pada. So Swamiji explained that it can also mean seek a teacher, seek guidance, seek the divine, seek teachings, right? So Mudhamate. So Adi Shankaracharya, like Lord Shiva, many times he's a bit, like striking us to wake us up. So Mudhamate means, oh foolish one, like, to wake us up and to tell, hey, don't you waste your time. You will see in the next verses he will call the reader a friend. So he's just trying to wake up. And so samprate sanihi tekali nahi nahi. Nahi nahi means no, no. So when the death will come, those rules of Sanskrit won't help you much. So this is the verse that continues itself, meaning whatever you see in this life, remember that the true thing is to worship Govinda, to seek the divine. And so, truly, the whole scripture is very much cultivating vairagya, or non attachment. And we know that on the spiritual path, we are guided to cultivate both abhyasa and vairagya. So, we have many TTCs and ATTCs, and we study in the Bhagavad Gita and also in Patanjali Yoga Sutras when Arjuna is so confused and he tells Lord Krishna that he cannot control this mind, which is like a wind and which is so chanchalam, which is so turbulent. Lord Krishna tells him, true, the mind is very, very agitated, but through constant inspired practice and vairagya, this non-dispassion, you can control the mind. And also Patanjali tells us in this 12th sutra that by abhyasa and vairagya we can reach this nirodha, this quieting of the waves of the mind. So how do we, abhyasa, it's quite clear, right? So we do our practices, we meditate daily, we do yoga daily, we practice kirtan. But how do we cultivate this passion, vairagya? It's so hard when the mind clings to the sensual objects, when the mind again and again seeks the answers outside. How do we show the mind, hey, the answer is within, it's not there? So these verses become a great, great help. So many verses beautiful here, but this one is beautiful because Adi Shankaracharya says satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nishchalatvam, nishchalatve jivan mukti. And it means satsangatve nisangatvam. So when you practice satsang, what we do now, when we are gathering together and we learn the scriptures, when we expose ourselves to those yogis, nisangatvam, then gradually we get this detachment. Nisangatve, from this detachment, nirmohatvam. So moha is this delusion, this mind that runs after sensual objects. So from this detachment, this delusion is gone. Nirmohatve nishchalatvam. So from this undeluded, one nishchalatvam comes to this steadiness. So Arjuna was saying chanchala, right? The mind is very turbulent, but the nirmohatva brings us to this state where the mind becomes very steady, nishchala, very, very steady. Nishchalatve jivan mukti. So from this state where the mind is very steady, we become liberated. So Adi Shankaracharya says, lost in play is the carefree stripling, lost in his sweetheart's charms the youth. The old man broods upon his sorrows. None there is, alas, whose spirit yearns to be lost in the Parabrahman. So he describes how the life passes so quickly, and in the childhood we are so attached to our toys, we want to play. Then when we become grown-ups, we want different desires. So he says we are lost in the sweetheart's charms. Then as old men, we are lost in our sorrows and what everything we didn't do, we didn't have time for, we didn't have energy for. He says there is no one who is yearns to be lost in this absolute, in the truth, in the reality. So it's an invitation for us to really, whatever age we are right now, to do our level best to reach this reality. He says, remember, riches bring in grief. Truly, no joy abides in them. A rich man even fears his son. This is the position everywhere. So he's reminding us that sometimes we feel like we must acquire things, like the happiness lies in truly having more of this and of that. But he says there is really no pleasure there, because the more you have, the more agitated your mind is and the more grief there will be for you. And then he mentions something. He says, a rich man even fears his son. This is the position everywhere. This is so sad, right? So we see, I mean, if you look at the courts worldwide, it's such a sad situation because so many families are found in the court. And many times it's while people are alive, there are so many disputes and quarrels inside the family. And many times after let's say the rich father is gone, then the kids who were, a loving family start quarreling about this money, about these riches. So we see more and more how wealth or riches, they bring so much agitation and so much suffering. While man's soul remains in his body, fondly his family wish him well. But when the life breath leaves its dwelling, even his wife will flee in fear. So he's reminding us what is this physical body that can be so attractive and so beautiful and charming. But he says once it's dead, even the beloved won't be attracted to it anymore because the prana is gone, the soul is gone. So he's going through all the different pleasures of this world and reminding us verse after verse how the true happiness really lies within. Yeah, I have to finish. Om Tat Sat. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Bolo Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj ki Jai. Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj ki Jai.